Live from the Export Beer Garden studio, this is the agenda for Tuesday, the 20th of February.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
Super Lawn Bowl was on last night, yesterday afternoon out at Mt Eden Bowls Club. It was
Mount Eden,
sorry. A very, beautiful day for us.
Yes.
Scorching, sunny, hot day. Very easy format. It was 4 teams. The losers of the first round played each other. The winners of the first round went into a grand final.
Yep.
We won our first matchup.
Yeah, it was good actually. Clinical.
I should explain how the teams work. It was there was Team Hodaki, which was Matt Heath and Finn Caddy. You may know him as Mash. There was Team ACC, which was us.
Yep.
And there was Team Sportsmen, Anchormen.
Sports Anchormen, yeah.
Sports Anchormen, which was Makoni and Sumo. And then there were a couple of the Black Sticks, were Team Movember.
Yep.
And each of us got paired with a blackjack or a representative bowler from around the country.
Yep.
Ours was Tony Grantham,
Yep.
who's a tremendous bowler. There were 3 others, obviously. And we won our first round, got put into the grand final. And my only goal for the day was to beat Matt Heath. And it couldn't have gone any worse because we lost in the grand final.
Yeah, we did. We had a power play. Look, it was, the idea with the Super Lawn Bowls is it's just a quick format, kind of televised, make it a bit fun.
Like the Black Clash for bowls.
Yeah, kind of like that. And so we just, it was a bit of a test event, bit of fun, but it was a cracking day.
Yeah.
And it was 5 ends.
Yeah.
Quickly, 5 ends, and then you could play a power play, which you double points.
Yes, which is how we won our first round.
Yes, and then the second round we played our power play early, and we lost the end.
We
by
bombed.
3.
Yeah.
It was a total bomb.
Which is, depending on how you cut it, that's a swing of about 6 points because we should have had at least 2 or 4 points.
We lost by so much that, remember, the last 2 balls didn't even get bowled.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, that's so humiliating. Heath won, and they didn't cover themselves in glory at the end when they were chanting at the end in a circle.
Oh, what? Matt Heath didn't cover himself in glory after winning something?
Yeah. Look, Selena was great. Their blackjack. She was cool, calm, and collected under pressure.
Yep.
Matt was spraying it everywhere. Mash was surprisingly good.
Yes,
as well.
He was. Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's disappointing. It's we went there with 1 goal.
Yeah.
And that was to defeat Heath. But
where I think we lost it, and I'll put my hand up here, is if you haven't watched competitive bowls before, they all hold a rag in their offhand.
Yeah.
And it's to wipe little bits off the ball, wipe the sweat off their hand, whatever. I think more than anything, though, it's a superstition thing. And so they all hold it, and it's something to squeeze. It gives them their balance. And when we were swapping ends, I said to Tony, look, if you got a spare rag, mate, because there's something going on with the rag. I feel like I need that. And he goes, here, you can just have mine. And from there on out, I think I took Tony's talent. And,
yeah,
he just wasn't able to come in clutch. To be fair, we left him a lot of work to do to win that.
Yeah, a lot of work. And also, we kept getting rounds of ultras, which didn't affect our performance either.
I think in that first game that we won, we were probably right in the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
And then after that, it sort of went downhill. Another pointless world first for the ACC. I commentated my own bowl while bowling it in the final.
That out of everything, I think that was a highlight. Forget the victory by Team Hodaki. The highlight for me is you getting interviewed by Joe Jury, holding a microphone in one hand and commentating while you bowl, and probably the bowl of the day. It was coming in hot. It was coming in hot.
It was.
But Selena had rested her bowl right next in the back of the jack.
Yeah.
And you just basically knocked it out of the way and sat your ball right next to the jack.
Said, I'll have that, thanks.
And then no celebration from you. It was actually quite good. People would just presume you're an amazing bowler because you go, that's what you get. It was one of the greats.
That's about how that goes.
Yeah, it was one of the greats. I don't think that'll ever happen again.
I loved that grand final yesterday because there was nothing on the line for us. We should lose. We suck at bowls. We're not good at it. Matt Heath goes and plays Twilight Bowls once a week. He has his own bowls, which he was informed on the morning that he was not allowed to bring his own bowls.
No.
Just in case they weren't regulation or I don't know what the rules are. They were quite particular.
Remote control. Yeah,
remote control. Maybe they got a magnet in them. So there was nothing on us. I was like, I suck at bowls. I'm not good at it. I should suck and I should miss every bowl that I throw down there.
But I'd take that one. You comment. If you haven't seen it, jump on the ACC Instagram, Facebook, and just click on the tile will have Manaia with a microphone in his hand at the bowls. Watch it. You'll be like, man, this guy's good.
It's like if we had to spend a day trying to get that exact shot, it would never have happened.
That's pretty much. Remember the Super Bash a few years ago? I had to film a video for Joe Jury, and he goes, just like hit a 6 and then turn around and say, "Come to the Super Bash," and I hit it onto the second tier of Eden Park, and I just turned around and I couldn't wipe the smile off my face, and all I said was, "That's how you fucking do it."
It's just one of those things. But I reckon that's why you've just got to go hell for leather every time you're in that situation, because of the one chance that it comes off. No one remembers like you say, no one saw the 100 other dog shit bowls that I threw. That rolled off the back or only made it halfway down the track.
That's good.
It's awesome though. That event has really got legs. I think, like, obviously it was us this year, but that's the kind of thing where, because it's bowls, it's a great level playing field. So you could have Yvonne Willering taking on Bowden Barrett, at bowls.
Yeah.
You could have the Heffernan twins, the netballers, they could be playing it. And it's a great spectator sport because it doesn't matter who's really bowling, and it's easy to understand what's a good bowl and what's a bad bowl.
I must admit, when I did it was a decent crowd there. There's a few hundred people there, and I remember I bowled a shocker, like straight into the ditch, and there was silence, and I was fair enough. I don't expect anything like less. And then I bowled quite a good one that just sat next to the jack. Silence. Oh. But then every time someone kissed it, there was a
hey!
Because they also Bowls Auckland donated money to Movember every time it kissed the jack.
Yep.
So
touch, that's called.
A touch. So that was quite good. So every time it touched, there was a cheer went up.
Yeah.
But, I think we need to bring more crowd engagement. There needs to be some more consequences for terrible bowls, I reckon, as well.
Yes, yeah.
Because, in amateur, if you're just firing them into the ditch the whole time, there needs to be something.
Some sort of repercussion.
Yeah, or reward for the crowd.
Yeah.
Who they'll get, I don't know, something.
Free hot dogs if there's like 10 gutter balls or something on the day. Yeah. Something like that. But that format will work, and it's only a matter of time before that becomes quite a big thing, I think. And like on a Friday night in summer, you watch that on the TV. That'll be tremendous. Or even get down to the ground yourself and
come along.
Have a couple of hot dogs, have a couple of export ultras.
Yeah. I tell you what, the
toppers?
The Southern Fried Chicken toppers got mowed.
Yeah, they took a hammering. And a great performance food as well, because I found they were also serving hot dogs. I was like, that's too much. I've got a grand final to win here.
Yeah.
But a topper, perfect. Maybe a topper and a half to get you right in the zone. Unfortunately, I lost, so didn't help that much. I did not listen to the Matt and Jerry show on Radio Hodaki this morning,
neither.
but I can imagine that there would have been a lot of gloating. I don't know that anyone would have covered themselves in glory there. Let's move on to some actual sports, some real sportsmen playing real sports. England have suffered a 434-run loss to India in the third test. This is the worst defeat in English test cricket history since 1934. Is Bazball all over? These are the headlines that are coming out in the media now.
Well, of course it's not.
No.
Yeah, first of all, you have to get rid of Baz. And Ben Stokes, and then Bazball is over.
Yeah, and on top of that, of the 21 games that he's coached, I think they've won 14 of them.
Yeah.
So they've lost 7. That's any team would take that record.
And this is in India.
Yeah.
No one wins in India unless you do something a bit different or crazy, and that's what they're trying. They're down 2-1. I think is this a 5-match series?
I think so. Yeah.
So they got. They've won one at least. It's more than most teams win over in India.
And I think this is the flip side of Bazball that people sort of don't realise. Like, they would rather lose in spectacular fashion trying to win than to nut out like a hard-fought draw or, soak up a day or two like a lot of other teams would. And that is Bazball, and you're not always going to win.
Yeah.
And when you lose, it is probably going to look bad.
Quite spectacular.
Yeah. But that's the whole point of Bazball is don't be put off by losing a couple of quick wickets. We're not changing our strategy. We're still winning.
And also, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter if you lose by 400 runs, 200 runs, 10 runs.
No.
It's still an L.
Yeah, that's right.
As my 11-year-old son says to me all the time, take the L.
Take the L. And that's exactly what they did. But it's whenever, because Bazball is so striking and so, different.
It's polarising.
And polarising. And a lot of purists will be like, oh, there's no how you bloody test cricket.
Especially in England. So they're here, he is shaking the foundations of what cricket is, Baz, in England. Because that is the stuffiest of stuffy over there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who's been to Lords, you're like, oh my God, these people still exist? These bufties?
They were hissing at people when they were walking off the pitch, at the Aussies walking off the pitch. They hissed at them. I've never seen that before. Like cats. They just don't know how to express themselves when they're angry or emotional because they're so hoity-toity and uptight.
So he's always going to get criticised. And you know what? I don't think he gives a flying fuck.
No, I can't imagine he would either. And it's good for the game as well, the old Bazball. But I love that every time there's a loss or even a couple of quick wickets in a game, people are like, well, this is the problem with Bazball. You know, you can't bloody play like this. Bazball does. We're going to do a bit of cricket later on down the track as well. But it is time for a quick ad. We'll be back to talk a bit of rugby. Lane, I've got some bad news for you. Will Jordan will be out for the entirety of Super Rugby.
Just Super Rugby or the entire year or just Super Rugby?
So, after assessment from the Crusaders medical team, he will undergo surgery and as a result will be unavailable for selection during the 2024 Super Rugby Pacific season. That's the whole season. He's expected to be fit to return to play in approximately 6 months. So, that rules out the games against England and Fiji, for the All Blacks.
That sucks. God, that does suck. Did he aggravate it in pre-season?
I'm not sure.
Because he had a dodgy shoulder at the Black Clash. He did say, my shoulder's not great.
That's why he didn't bat.
He didn't bowl, and he didn't, if you saw him, he didn't throw the ball. He underarmed every ball that came to him. So, I mean, not that Black Clash wouldn't have done anything to him, but yeah. He must have known then, or was he aggravated it more?
Or potentially he was sort of going through, like, trying to figure out if he could avoid surgery. I don't know what the ins and outs are, but all I would say is obviously disappointing news for Will Jordan, who's had, like, quite a tortured couple of years.
Yeah, because he was out for most of the Super last year with his inner ear vertigo issue.
And then, obviously, this now. The only thing I would say is if you're Will Jordan and you're going to miss 6 months of rugby, this would be the 6 months to miss. So it's straight after a World Cup. He's still very young.
Yeah.
So if he's, going to miss 6 months, this would be it. It's sort of inconsequential, the All Blacks, in terms of, like, it's as far away from a World Cup as possible.
Do you do an OE?
I reckon he goes full Chanel Harris-Tavita.
Yeah. Go to Bali.
Hit the mushy shakes.
Yeah.
Head to Bali. Go to Thailand. Do the whole Southeast Asia thing.
Go jump on the Eurobus. Go jump on the big green vagina liner around Europe.
Yeah. Get on the old Sail Croatia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a guy like Will Jordan would tear it up on Sail Croatia.
Imagine on Sail Croatia.
And what do you do for a job? I am the All Black fullback / winger.
Yeah, just taking a 6 months off. Got a bit of a bung shoulder.
Just really want to find myself, actually. This is actually a really great opportunity.
Can you help me? Can you help me find myself?
Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to learn about myself. Can we?
Yeah, sure. Will.
Yeah. And then they get to go away and say, I know that guy. Yeah,
I helped him find himself.
So I don't think it's all that bad.
Nah.
I think this is a good opportunity for Will Jordan.
Well, we should compile a list of things that Will Jordan should do in his 6 months off.
Oh yeah, well,
like a bucket list.
A bucket list of, I mean, obviously he's been around the world, but in a professional capacity.
Yeah, you've been. I mean, look, it's a big difference between going around the world working and playing sport and going around with your mates with a free license
and bad intentions,
to find yourself.
So let us know on the old talkback function, the yours please. Tap the little microphone button on your iHeartRadio app and let us know what you think Will Jordan should. What would you get up to if you were in Will Jordan's situation?
Yeah, because obviously he still gets paid, doesn't he?
Yes.
He still gets paid in a central. There's probably some sort of obligations around rehab
staying in shape.
Yeah, that he has to stick to.
But you could do that on a sailboat in Croatia.
Just take a physio with you.
You could do that in Amsterdam.
I know a few physios. I'll be. Who wants to go for a 6 month bender with Will?
With Will.
I am. Oh, okay. I will.
Get into your bike work around Amsterdam.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Watch out for the tram lines though. They'll get you.
Yeah.
Those tram lines on those bikes.
I'll tell you what, they'll gobble that front tyre up and just throw you off.
Totally.
I was in Amsterdam with an American gentleman who I don't know had ridden a bike before, but he decided that he was going to get on. And there is traffic everywhere. Like they have their own lanes and their own traffic lights for bikes.
Yeah.
When you pull up, there are like 15 Dutch commuters all around you. And the light goes green. He misses his pedal and almost stacks his bike as a truck comes around the corner. It's like, I'm about to watch a man die. But I digress. One of the segments that I like to do on this podcast, Lane, is Break Down the Breakdown, where we take the mainstream sports media's headlines of the day and we react to them. And one of the things that the Herald are doing in the lead up to Super Rugby is they are naming the all-time first 15s for each Super Rugby franchise.
Oh, for each franchise? I thought... when I kind of glanced over the headline, I thought an all-time Super Rugby 15.
No, but perhaps that's something that we should do in the coming days. But no, if you have a look at your rundown, they have named today the Crusaders Super Rugby all-time 15.
Okay.
And I think we should pour over this because I have a couple of points of order.
Yes.
Starting at number 1, Wyatt Crockett. I can't argue against that.
No.
Because he is the all-time Super Rugby appearance leader and only double centurion.
Yeah.
Not angry at that. Greg Somerville for me. Obviously, everyone's going to have their own personal preference. But Greg Somerville's my missus' favourite rugby player of all time, if you can believe that.
That is a strange man to take under your wing.
I know. Well, she grew up a massive Crusaders fan and down there in Ashburton.
And Greg Somerville was the pin-up boy.
Don't know what. Well, Dan Carter obviously was. I think her parents still have a scrapbook that she made of Dan Carter clippings.
I suppose like Dan Carter was always kind of out of reach for a lot of people.
Yeah, and too obvious.
And too obvious. And maybe Greg Somerville, he's like, man, if I met him in a bar, I could have a home.
He's gettable.
Yeah.
Cody Taylor, can't argue against that.
Yep.
Owen Franks, sure. Sam Whitelock, I think that has to be in there. This is where it gets iffy, though. Number 5, Todd Blackadder. Definitely deserves to be in the team, but I don't think of him as a lock, do you?
No.
He's a flanker to me.
And also, is that ahead of Dog Roll Barrett?
Yeah, it would have to be.
I'd argue that Dog Roll's a better rugby player than Todd Blackadder.
I would almost give you Chris Jack ahead of Todd Blackadder as a second rower.
What about
Norm Maxwell?
Yes.
Yeah. Norm Maxwell was one of my childhood idols because in pre-season they came down to Timaru one year and they were at the top of the Bay Hill there in Timaru and Mum took me up there to meet my idols and me and Norm Maxwell sang, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, ooh, I am for real." Yeah, we sang that whole song together and I was like,
That's quite cool. But like Todd Blackadder, he's obviously a legend down there and that's why they've picked him. But I don't know if it's a popularity contest or if they're actually a good rugby player.
I think what's happened here is at number 6 they've shoehorned in Reuben Thorne and so I think they've said we have to have Todd Blackadder in the team but we also have to have Reuben Thorne, so we're going to play a bit of jiggery pokery with the positions. Like obviously Blackadder did play lock, but that's not where he made his bones. That's not what made him Todd Blackadder. But Reuben Thorne, I kind of have always thought of Reuben Thorne as a bit of like a pre-internet meme of a guy, you know what I mean? Like All Black captain, powerful goatee back in the day as well.
Yeah.
And whenever the Crusaders or Canterbury win a competition, they all sing Reuben Thorne, Reuben Thorne, Reuben Thorne, which makes me think that he might have been a bit of like a, I don't know how to describe, maybe a bit of a goober backstage, you know what I mean?
I suppose he's turned into a bit of a cult hero, isn't he? It's like, I
mean, but the resume, captain the Crusaders to a perfect 2002 season, won 7 Super Rugby titles as well.
There's a lot of players who won 7 Super Rugby titles with the Crusaders, though.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That is a fair point. I just don't know. Reuben Thorne definitely in the team, maybe on the bench for me. And at number 7, this is, you can't argue with sort of these next 3. Richie McCaw.
Yep.
Kieran Reid.
Yep.
Justin Marshall.
Yep.
Dan Carter.
Yep.
Then we get into Caleb Ralph, who, this is an interesting stat that they've dug up here on the Herald. He's the owner of the Crusaders try-scoring record and record for most consecutive games played in Super Rugby at 104. That's
pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
That's pretty impressive. But I don't know. Yeah, Cave's kind of old school. He's original Crusaders original, isn't he?
Yeah, and he played for like 104 games in a row. He played for a long, long time.
Was he originally an Aucklander?
He was from the Bay of Plenty.
Bay of Plenty.
Yes, and was one of the first sort of poachings, the first of many that would end up making their bones down there in Canterbury.
Was there also rumours of royal liaisons?
There was, yes. I can't remember exactly what that was, and I don't want to defame the man.
We'll move on.
We'll move on. In at number 12, Aaron Major. I don't think you can argue against that. Robbie Fruin at 13. I don't know. I don't feel like he was around for that long, but I don't know who you would replace him with, to be fair. Ryan Crotty might be hard done by.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, if we're looking on the wings as well, so you've got number 14, you've got Severed Peace.
Yeah, Severed Peace. I don't know. So you
got Israel Dagg has missed out.
Yes, because 15 is Leon McDonald. So Israel Dagg, for me, takes one of either Leon McDonald or Sever Reese's positions, I think.
And Nemani Nadolo,
yeah,
he's a wrecking ball.
He was a wrecking ball. He was also a cult hero. I just don't know if he was that big a contributor to the Crusaders jersey that he needs to be in there. But
a bit more of a mercenary?
Yeah, a bit more of a mercenary.
Yeah.
You know, I'd probably even put Marika Vunibaka ahead of him. Maybe Scott Hamilton.
Also, you got your honourable mentions here. You're right. Reuben Thorne. Oh, Brad Thorne, sorry. Brad Thorne didn't make it.
Brad Thorne, I suspect that Brad Thorne will be named in the second row for the Highlanders squad when that one comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like they sort of associate themselves with him a bit more than that. Andrew Merton's unlucky to have played for the same franchise as Dan Carter. But, I mean, if you wanted to rejig the backline, you could go Mertz, Dan Carter at 12, Aaron Major at 13.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how DC got his start, was playing second five outside Mertz.
Don't mind that.
I don't mind that either. As you say, Namani Nadolo, Mark Hammett, Greg Somerville, Brad Thorne, Chris Jack, these are the honourable mentions. Richie Moonga, Norm Berryman, Luke Romano. So there's a lot in there, but I think the main one for me was that second row was...
That was some good rugby chat.
Yeah, powerful rugby chat.
Powerful rugby chat.
Breakdown the breakdown. All right, time for a quick break, and then we'll be back with yours, please. Which is this one.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
If you are listening on iHeartRadio and you press the microphone button, it will record your voice, and we will play it out on the show like this. Listener, yours, please.
Yeah, g'day lads, Mike Cunt here. Hey, I see David Warner has been wounding again in the media, so he clearly hasn't learnt his lesson. I think we should allow ball tampering against Australian Test teams for the next 10 years. I mean, I want to see a reverse swing in the fifth over. I want to see them skittle for less than 50. The rest of Australia needs to pay the price for all this wounding man's actions.
What he's referring to is David Warner's been interviewed in a series of interviews, and he's come out and basically slagged off all of New Zealand. He said the crowd, they got personal. This is last time he came over, but if they have to get personal, that's their character. I just go about my business. But that's upon each individual. If that's what they feel like they have to do, then so be it. If you want to pay your money to come and abuse people, you have to go back and lay in your own bed. We're here to play the game of cricket that we love, enjoy, and put bums on seats to keep the game going. I hate that this has become about anything other than the fact that he fucking cheated at cricket.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, he goes, they don't want to get personal. You just made it personal.
Yeah.
You've just attacked individuals.
Yeah.
So you've made it personal. So, you know what, Warner? You're a bit of a wounder.
He's a massive wounder. It's so bizarre to me that this has so quickly become, think about the impact on him, and he's a victim. And that everyone in Australia talks around the fact that they sandpapered the cricket ball. You know, why does no one say that in Australia?
And it wasn't his only indiscretion as well.
No.
He had many, an altercation with players, abusing them off the field and on the field.
Yeah.
So he hasn't covered himself in glory. And those kind of players, if they're going to hand it out and go around cheating, you're going to get some shit.
Yep, it's going to come back. But unfortunately, Lane, I have a sin to confess.
Oh.
I agree with David Warner on something, and I'm not proud of it, but he said something that I completely agree with. Warner was asked about his time spent playing in New Zealand. Back in 2010, he played for the Northern Districts. He only played 2 games, and one of them was in Oamaru. He said, we played in Oamaru. I literally thought I was in a ghost town. I think it was a Saturday or something, and there was just no one there. I agree with David Warner. I hate Oamaru as well.
Now, that's your little weird South Canterbury kind of rivalries going on there.
Oh, no, it's objectively a shithole.
But, why would you play a T20 in Oamaru? Like, was that a Canterbury versus...
Well, it was Northern Districts.
Districts.
Would have been against maybe Otago.
And what state was the T20 competition then that they were playing them in Oamaru?
Apparently on a rugby field too, which is bizarre because there are so many cricket pitches around Oamaru that they're going to play on the... And he said, I've never seen that before where you play cricket on a rugby field. I was like, well, the Roosters just spent about 4 years playing at the SCG. They did about 5 players did their ACLs because there was a cricket pitch in the middle of the rugby league field.
Do you know what? Don't fall for it, New Zealand. Do not fall for this bullshit from Warner. He's trying to gain a bit of sympathy so he'll get a bit of a farewell and a standing O as he walks off after his third one day in Eden Park. Don't give it to him.
No.
He doesn't deserve it.
No, he doesn't. He's a cheater. All right, mopping up a couple of the stories of the day. The NBA All-Star game was last night, Lane. I didn't really watch it, and I love the NBA.
I watched the first quarter, I think.
In the office.
Yeah, and it's, look, if you ever want to watch sport as show business, holy shit, that is next level.
It's turned into the WWE.
Yeah, it is the WWE. At the start, introing the teams took half an hour.
Yeah.
And then they played, and Luka Doncic could not give... Oh, it's not Luka. Jokic.
Yeah.
He could not give a flying fuck.
Couldn't give a shit.
He could not give a flying fuck.
Nah.
And he's on the court just lolling around, doesn't care.
Nah.
He's just obviously getting paid a buttload to do it.
Yeah, they've tried a whole bunch of different stuff to make it more competitive. They've changed the ending to where instead of the time running out, they set a score that you have to get to at the end in the fourth quarter. So they add 24 to your score at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then whoever gets to that first wins.
Right.
So there's always a game-winning shot. And that worked for the first year, but then everyone went back to not giving a shit. How do you make a game like that more competitive?
Well, you can't. I mean, the thing is, they all make so much money. You can't throw money at it and make it.
Can't incentivize them that way. No.
So I don't know how you do it, because a lot of them. I mean, it's a bit. It's just a showcase, isn't it? That's all it is. It's the Harlem Globetrotters of the NBA. Get all the stars together. Indianapolis, where it's been held, they paid $150 million to the NBA to host it.
Yeah.
So it's a money-making exercise all round, and the players are just part of that.
And it is a good, fun weekend. Like you say, you got Steph Curry shooting on an LED court against Sabrina Ionescu, the women's player.
Yeah, that LED court, and they had the dunk comp and everything on the LED court. It's pretty insane.
That stuff is cool, but then you've got things like they had the skills challenge, which always used to be quite fun. You get to watch a big guy try and dribble around. And Anthony Edwards was in that, and he was shooting with the wrong hand, and he was winning by such a landslide. Then he missed all his shots with his left hand. It's like, well, why am I watching this if you don't give a shit?
Yeah.
So I don't know how I think the only way to do it would be incentivize people with either draft picks or points for the table for your team.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you lose, then you lose a draft pick, and if you win, then you get 2 extra wins in the win column on your team.
So there has to be some consequences.
Yeah.
Like Jokic just lolling around, not giving a shit. There needs to be consequences. People can shoot him with a BB gun or something.
Yeah. To be fair, that is how he plays anyway. In the NBA final, he'll play the exact same way. So, I don't know. But there's got to be something. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, who's not even the best player on his own team, scored 50 points and was not the MVP of that game. There was a total points of 397 points scored in that game. It was ridiculous. It smashed all the scoring records. Nobody wants to play defense because, like you say, everyone gets paid so much already. If you get injured in the All-Star game, which I don't think's ever happened, I think Kobe Bryant broke Dwayne Wade's nose one time, and that's about the worst that's ever happened in that game. But I don't know. It's unwatchable, and the ratings are plummeting, so they've got to figure something out.
I quite like watching it just for the fact it's so ridiculous.
So ridiculous, yeah. And just finally, this headline comes around every year. We talked about it yesterday off air, but the Dunedin Flat situation has hit the headlines again. Why does this pop up every year at this time?
You know exactly why, because what happens is the majority of first-year students to Dunedin are from the North Island. Mm-hmm. So I'd say a lot from Auckland and Hamilton. What happens is they drive down with young Tommy or Christina or whoever. They drive down or they fly down with them and settle them in to their accommodation. And mainly first years it's in the halls. Yeah. So, you don't hear much about that.
Shout out to Studham Hall.
Yeah. So you drop them off at the halls and it's all fun games and, they got their own room and everything. But then there's obviously quite a few that go off flatting. Mm. And a few parents will go down and they'll go, "Oh, Johnny's your flat." And they go there and go, "Oh, fuck's sake!"
Yeah.
And there's mold everywhere. But that's what it is. If anyone who's been to Dunedin, you studied there. Yep. I studied in Canterbury. We used to go down there every month and just run riot. Yeah. The rooms are always disgusting. There's holes in the floor, the ceiling. It's dry. You might as well be sleeping outside.
Oh, 100%. There were times where my room would have frost on the inside of my room, directly above where my head was, the wall from where I was breathing, that would be frosted up. Yeah. Or there'd be a light layer of moisture across the top of you. One winter, a pipe froze underneath my flatmate's room and burst. So our landlord came around, cut a 2 metre square hole in the floor of Richard's room, fixed the pipe, but couldn't fix the floor. So he just rolled the carpet back over a hole in the floor, and then we had to put Richard's bed on an angle so that it wouldn't fall through the hole, and he had to sleep like that for another 2 weeks until the floor got fixed.
Well, at least they fixed the floor. Matt Heath was talking about how his floor collapsed and they just put a rug over it, and his mate Spooge came home on the piss and just fell through the hole and slept under the house for the night, just wrapped in the rug that he fell through the floor on.
It'd be about as warm as the rest of it.
Yeah. It'll happen again this time next year and forevermore.
One of the funniest things happened to my friends because, every year the lease changes, so you got to sign up with the power company again. Yep. Well, they slipped through the cracks where about 2 months into their stay in this flat, they were like, "We haven't received a power bill. We're not with any power company. We've fallen through the cracks. Power is free." So when they figured that out, they put the heat pump on max and then threw the remote about 3 houses away, and it shattered, and they just left it on full bore, and if it got too hot, they would just open the outside door. And so the whole house... One of them, they went on Trade Me and bought a tanning bed because they had no power. So these guys were walking around in the middle of winter with like these incredible tans.
Oh man, they should have just gone to Mt Eden and invested in some extension cords
and just run the whole neighbourhood,
run the whole block, and just take $10 from each flat a week.
Yeah, it was on Hyde Street too, so they could have helped everyone out. Yeah, I used to stay at their place after town and just sleep on their couch because it was so warm in there.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't get pulled up actually, because I think that's how a lot of hydroponics marijuana growing get busted, because they have an unusual spike in electricity consumption, and the police can look into that, along with the fact they fly kind of thermo cameras over the top of places and see a shed glowing in the middle of the night.
This place would have lit up like a Christmas tree on that thing.
They should have got into hydroponics as well.
It was so fucking hot in that flat. And they had a giant Flemish rabbit. I don't know where the hell they got it from. It was called Queen Latifah. My favourite thing was to take friends around there who hadn't been there, and if they were completely buckled that night, not address the fact that there was a 3-foot tall rabbit in the corner of the room. I had one mate.
He would be like...
As we walked out, he was just like, bro, I didn't want to say anything in there. Could you see that rabbit in the corner? I was like, no. What rabbit? What do you mean? There was a 3-foot Flemish giant rabbit in the corner of this lounge. It was 40 degrees in there, and everyone was sitting around with a massive tan. It was absolutely ridiculous. So it's not all bad down there in Dunedin if you've got a kid heading down there very shortly.
And look, if you're a landlord down there, why would you invest? Because it gets absolutely trashed.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's why they build indestructible flats, but there's only so much you can do when a bunch of lizards live there for a year.
Yeah, I mean, just last year we went down there for a promo, and I dropped off a bunch of stuff to flats around North Dunedin, and I walked into one of my old flats, and I tried to walk across the lounge, and I couldn't because there was so much glass on the floor, like you couldn't take a step without standing on a bottle.
Yeah.
And I turned around to the dude that lived there, and I was like, I can't believe I used to live like this. And he said to me, and you fucking loved it.
And you were like, yeah.
He was dead right. All right, let's knock this on the head. We'll be back tomorrow for a Wednesday edition of the Agenda podcast. We'll see you then.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.